You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 with modifications. Now, pay attention, please.
Hello, today we're going to be building the Aston Martin DB5 as used by James Bond in Goldfinger. Got the bodywork here moulded in silver, there's some mould seams along the edge here, also some around the boot, some nice features moulded in though, like the little latch, a couple more seams along the roof edge here. It's difficult to see in the silver plastic, so do look really closely. There's also some around the headlights. So there we are. So here it is after I'd sanded it, and then I gave it 2 coats of fine grey primer from Tamiya, and then 3 coats of TS17 gloss aluminium. It's a bit darker than the silver. I felt it looked pretty similar to the silver birch. Here it is with the grille, which isn't great, but I'm going to be doing the decals now that the paint's all cured, and the grille is useful because I can use the central line to make sure that the Aston Martin badge is positioned correctly. Just using a little bit of micro set to position these. There's also these Superleggera decals that go on the bonnet here. Never noticed these on the real car because they're silver on silver. And then you've got small little DB5 badges either side here. Got another DB5 logo here, as well as the GB sticker, which you could choose to leave off if you wanted to. Realise actually the GB sticker sort of defeats the purpose of having French and Swiss number plates. So the boot handle here is from the chrome tree, so I masked it off to paint the upper part in the same silver paint, or aluminium paint I should say. Then when that had cured, another Aston Martin decal went onto the top of that. Pretty happy with that. Now a little known detail is that the car in the film actually has side indicators, as you can see here, and the kit does come with decals or stickers which you can put into those places. Now I placed these, but then just didn't like how it looked. On no other versions of the car did it have these indicators, so I removed them. Then when all the decals had cured, I clear coated it all in X22 clear from Tamiya. This was just the first mist coat to seal the decals. I went over with a bit of a heavier coat later. Just looking at it all over to make sure I was happy with the finish. Then when it had cured, I went over the parts like this roof section here with this 3000 grit sanding sponge, wet sanding it down to smooth out the finish. Need to be really careful with this roof panel because obviously you want to have a consistent finish with the rest of the car. And then once I was happy with that, I then used some Tamiya polishing compounds and these polishing sponges. Here I'm using the coarse grit. Shine on that. And then I'm doing exactly the same with the rest of the body, having wet sanded it down. Be really careful around some of the edges. Here I'm just using a wet paintbrush to remove it from those grooves. There, I'm pretty happy with that. It's not a real sort of glossy finish, but I think it's good. It looks quite like a 60s car. There you can see that roof panel in place. And the little boot handle as well. As this is an easy click kit, I found that glue wasn't really needed to fit many of these parts. Here it is. So now it was time to work on the interior and the undercarriage. Now these were all painted in satin black, and here these were done in steel. You've got a bit of engine detail here, the sort of underside of it. I do wonder whether this kit will be re-released with a proper engine though, as a more sort of stock DB5. Now, unlike most easy click kits, you do have some detail to the suspension here. It's not just a metal axle, and you've got little brake discs as well. The front wheels do actually turn on this. And then that's all sandwiched together like so. There we are. Now there's some more mechanical detail to go onto the axle at the back. It's fairly well designed though. I mean, there's a decent amount of detail for an easy click kit. Obviously this isn't quite the level of some kits at this price range, but I still think it's fairly good. Now once those were all in place, I added some panel line accent to sort of just add a little bit of shading and weathering. The exhaust fits in next, but don't add the exhaust tips, as you'll want to add those after the body is on later. There we have it. The interior was also painted satin black, and then I masked off the rear seats to do this dark grey, which was one of the paints that came with the kit. I think this is a really good match for the seats. I chose to flock the floor here, so I added some watered down PVA, it's white glue, and then here I've put it above this paper using tea strainer and some Zero Paints light grey flocking powder. I think if I did this again, I probably would have painted the floor a grey colour to start with, so that the patchiness didn't quite sort of stand out as much. But it's an interesting experience. It's the first time I've ever used the flocking powder, so like I say, it came out a bit patchier than I wanted it to. So I gave it an extra coat, and yeah, I'll show you it later. The dashboard here is all in black, and then I added some silver paint. This is the Revell Aqua Silver Paint that included to add some details. Some of the instrument decals do have silver surrounds, but it's important just to add these, just in case they don't quite match up. Again, I've just used a bit of micro set to help them fit into the recesses as best as possible. There we are. You've also got this chrome trim for the glove box, which is a really nice addition. I think this is nice. It's also got the little keyhole in the middle. Next is the tracking radar, which appears behind the speaker to the audio system here, as you can see in the real film. Now this is an unusual one, as there is no alternative version for this. Most of the gadgets in the car, you have like a choice to hide them, whereas this, the screen is always there. Also in the film it was more green, I'd say, than this blue decal. But still, it's a nice little touch. There we have it. Now for the steering wheel, the central spokes are black. I'm then using some Revell wood brown for the outside. Once that had dried, I dry brushed on some of the darker brown that came with the kit, and then used the clear orange that came with the kit to add as a gloss coat around the outside, make it look like a varnish. There's a thin silver strip which goes around the outside, which I sort of replicated by doing this. And then finally the little screw heads, or whatever they might be, rivets, were done with a silver Posca paint pen. It's not a perfect replica of the steering wheel, but I think it's pretty good. The decal badge goes in the centre of that, which I later covered up with a bit of gloss clear just to add a sort of shiny effect to the centre of the steering wheel. And there we have it. Pedals go down here. It's interesting to see that there is a hole for left-hand drive, even though there's no left-hand drive dashboard. It's another clue that makes me think that they're going to rebox this kit as a stock version. So here it is with the stock armrest and gear stick. Seats were again painted in that dark grey with Molotow chrome for the handles on the side. As you can see, I've gone over the flocking powder with light grey paint from Revell. It's still got the texture but looks much closer to the carpet in the real car. You might want to leave out the passenger side seat if you're going to imagine that the ejector seat has worked. Now the door card here has actually got a little phone in it, which was a feature that was never shown in the film, but it was included on the original car. And you've got a little opening here which can either be fit to open or closed, depending on how you want it to look. There's a little pocket decal down here, which I'm using micro set and sol. I think this is a nicely detailed interior and fairly accurate compared to what I've seen. Now, one feature that isn't in the instructions is the handbrake, which is on the right hand side of the driver's seat. You need to drill down into the hole for that, and you'll also notice that there is a hole for the left hand side as well. Another clue that makes me think that this car is going to be reboxed as a stock version. So now you can see the door cards clip into place. These are a little bit fiddly, but it does tell you in the instructions which order to do it in. I'd also recommend painting the inside of the door cards around the back seat in that same dark grey, just to sort of match that all up. Okay, there we are. Now there's also a speaker decal which needs to go onto the parcel shelf, which I added much later. But there was a sticker version of it as well, which I decided to use as the sort of heel protector just in front of the pedals, as I saw that in the real car. Now, one thing to build and then to put aside is you've got two of these sort of Toblerone triangular prism pieces for the rotating number plate, as you can see here. You've also got sticker versions of these, so if you do mess them up, you can always use the stickers instead. Car's showing its age because it predates the white and yellow number plates in the UK and white number plates in France. Incidentally, BMT 216A was just the number plate that was on the Aston Martin when they were given a car. So the headlights here go into the little silver housings and then they push into place. There's only one way that you can fit them in, so that's good so you don't make any mistakes. There we are. I'll add the covers to them later. You've also got the rear view mirror, which has got a little decal on the back to make it look more realistic. It's a nice feature. You can see some moulded sun visors in the roof here, although I've chosen not to paint any of the interior. The pale grey is quite close to the silver anyway, and I don't think you'll really notice it. So there we are. Now these vents have been painted in matte black already, and then you've got the little chrome features that fit really nicely. I was a bit worried about how these looked initially, but I'm pleasantly surprised at how they turned out. Let me know what you think. Then you've got door handles, clip into both sides, make sure you get them the right way around. Now this part here has got a space where the engine would go, and it's also got visible details, but it will all disappear once you put it into place, which is another thing that suggests to me that they will rebox this with an engine. It was a bit of a challenge to clip it into place. Make sure that at the front of the car it goes into the uppermost clip. There you can see space for the engine. Then you've got the interior, which goes in after that. Again, you've got clips at the front and at the back. None of this needed any glue. Just a bit of firm pressure, be nice and gentle though, you don't want to damage anything. Next is for the number plate at the back. It goes into this little housing section here, and the movement's actually really good. I did think about using some leftover grease, which I got with an Aoshima kit, but didn't need anything like that. Movement's really good. And that just fits on like so. As I said before, it does kind of defeat the purpose of having a Swiss number plate if you've got GB next to it, but the movement's pretty good. And then you've got the indicators, and you've got two options for these. You've also got the oil slick ones at the back, as you see here. And you've also got the machine gun options for the front. Make sure you don't confuse the front indicators with the rear ones, as the front ones are significantly larger and don't fit into the holes at the back. I also think that the colours suggested for the indicators in the instructions are wrong, so look at examples of the real car. I found orange, red, white for the back, and the front indicators should just be white. Now then, the rear chrome bumper has got two red reflectors, I believe they are. And you've also got these little black sections which go behind the overriders on the front and rear bumpers. Found it was best to apply these whilst it was still on the sprue. Gave it a chance to cure before I fitted the parts the following day. The rear bumper just clips on like so, and then you put the overriders into the two slots. Then cap them off with these little donut shaped pieces on the other side to keep them secure. Then it's time to fit the floor of the car. Found this was a bit of a tight fit at the back, so just be nice and patient and then it should clip into place. And then at the front it clips into the lower horizontal hole in the behind the radiator grille. Now for the front bumper here. It's important to put the overriders in first, but don't put the donuts on the other side. Then put them into the lower lip of the kind of front end of the car. The overriders will fit through that, and then once that's all secure, then you can put the donuts on. But just don't make the same mistake I did and leave the number plate out, because I then had to take this all apart to put the number plate back in. As you can see here, it's missing. Now here it is, back with the number plate, and nice and secure. Good thing about not using glue with this kit is that it can be disassembled. So yeah, I was a bit lucky that time. So there we are. The grille does unfortunately let the kit down a little bit. It's such a signature part of the Aston Martin look. Firstly, I tried just to use some Tamiya black panel liner to fill it all in, and it looks okay, but I found that it had too much of a shine. So I removed some of that, and then went over it with Revell matte black acrylic. And then whilst it was drying, used this toothpick to scratch away on the horizontal and vertical bars. I felt that gave a better look because it added a bit more depth, but I won't be surprised if before long you've got people 3D printing replacement grills to this kit. Similarly, the wheels, they're not too bad, but there's no actual depth to them, but they look a little bit better with some black panel line accent. The wheels themselves are made out of 3 parts, like so. All 4 are identical as well, and then just apply the tyres. As you see, no knockoffs on the middle of these yet. Now the tyres do roll, but they don't stay on very well, so you may choose to just glue them on so they don't fall off the car. Then on the wheels you can add the optional tyre shredders, as you can see here. You can add these to all 4 wheels, which are a bit excessive. Not sure it was ever shown like that in the film. I'm just going to show you here as a demonstration. Fortunately, these come on and off really easily, so if you wanted to change them, you could. Gave the headlight covers a silver trim around the edge, just like the real ones, and then fit them into place. And then the windows have got monochrome around the outside. These clip into the bottom first and then at the top, and their fitment is generally pretty good. It's a shame there's a little bit of space where you can see the clips, especially on the side window. But at least the hole in the roof means that you have extra leeway to push these into place. The side windows are definitely the hardest ones. For these I've used monochrome around the edge, and I've also used some aluminium tape along the sort of vertical lines in the middle of the doors. I'll leave the rear window just for a little bit. Now you've got this smoke ejector thing which goes just below the exhaust, and then you've got the exhaust here. Now an extra gadget here, you've got the racing bulletproof screen. Now I found that the clips in here actually scratched the paint off when I first tested it, so I decided to sand those down. It still fits really well without them, but it just adds a little bit more safety. I also found that the sticker was preferable to the decals, because I thought that if it was scratched off the paint, then at least the sticker will actually act to protect it. You can see it fits snugly into place, and with a craft blade you can pull it back up and it holds, so that's a nice feature. Windscreen wipers are from the Chrome Tree, just using some black Sharpie to add the rubber trim. And you know what, I wish that most cars had windscreen wipers that fit this easily, actually, because it's usually something that falls off. And then you've also got the little bullet wing mirrors. Final feature to add was the rear window. And now giving it a final dust. And here it is finished. Firstly in the stock version with the gadgets hidden. I think the gadgets may have been part of the reason why they went for Easy Click, to make it changeable. And here full 360. Changing into with the gadgets exposed. So we're going to give this car a BOAB score. For value, this is going for about £45 to £50, which is quite a lot of money, especially for an Easy Click, so I'm going to give it a 3. Assembly, Easy Click means that it goes together very easily, even if it's a bit simple in places, so I'm giving it a 4. Accuracy, no engine, but a detailed interior and all the gadgets, so I'm giving it a 4. Quality, it's a well-designed kit and goes together nicely, but let down by parts like the radiator, so I'm giving it a 3. Legacy, it's an iconic car from the Bond series and arguably the first ever film star car, so it's a 5. That gives it a total of 19 out of 25, which is better than I thought it would be. Here you can see it with some other Bond cars, including the BMW Z8. Thanks a lot for watching, see you soon.